spineless, weak, feckless, effeminate, emasculated, submissive, passive, no backbone, like jelly, like a loaf of bread. This is the reason why society is conditioning men to become effeminate and emasculated, because they don't want to have to confront a dominant, strong male figure when it comes time for them to take over this country. That's the only reason why they're doing it. That's why you see more effeminate males now than anything. They don't have any backbone or spine. They're feckless, No courage, only fear. They cower and they cave in at the sign of any type of incident that might, bring them harm or danger instead of facing it head on. In my day, they used to call them real men. In a lot of ways, I agree with it. Some ways I don't. Basically, the parts that I agree with are just be yourself. Don't be afraid. That's the part I'm down with. But all of the names and the labels and stuff, I don't go with. But you have to understand the reason why these males are becoming emasculated and effeminate is because they're being conditioned to be this way. It's all happening by design. That's why they're dumbing down the world with TikTok and YouTube. Video shorts have caused you to have no patience. So you can't create anything of substance. You don't have any intelligence because you don't speak clear, concise, colloquial English. You don't even know most of the words. People misspell common words. They can't even speak anymore. Everything's abbreviations. So you clearly see where this is headed. This isn't happening by accident. They didn't tell you guys, hey, listen, binge watch Netflix for 6 weeks and order Chinese food when they were having those lockdowns. That's all done by design. Those are training exercises, by the way, if you haven't figured that out. But anyway, I'm just saying this is the reason why you see a lot of effeminate males, because they don't want to have to confront an army of men that are going to fight to the death and have the cojones to pull it off. And that's what they're afraid of. So it isn't going to be a war of guns and rockets and missiles and bombs and grenades. It won't be that. They are systematically dismantling this country from the inside out. You figure you dumb them down, you make them weak. It is referred to as bread and circuses. Ever the cautionary tale, ever the precautionary tale of bread and circuses. This is what the Romans did to their people when the people started to, revolt and have an uprising and a revolution. So the Romans dealt with it by come into our amphitheater, come into the Colosseum, we will show you sporting events, eat, eat, eat. Ever the precautionary tale of bread and circuses. Back about 4 years ago, they were moving all M1A1 Abrams tanks with rubber treads, MRAPs, these are military vehicles used in war, UN troop carriers. These were being transported at night on the parkways with all of the parkway cameras turned off. And these vehicles are still positioned in abandoned quarry pits, abandoned industrial complexes. You just have to find the latitude and longitude, but they're there. You can nail them with the GPS tracking with satellites, absolutely. They're there. They're all strategically placed for when they set this thing off. They were even transporting all of these tanks 4 years ago on trains right through LA. Look on YouTube, tanks in LA. Now, of course, they will use plausible deniability and say, well, the military always uses its surplus and it stores it. No, not at all. Not the way they're doing it. You have to know they're up to something. That they're intending on using these tanks and MRAPs and UN troop carriers for something nefarious down the road. That's why they're still building those FEMA camps. There's one in Connecticut, there's one in Seattle, there's one all over the place. Because they're basically internment camps. So they have a plan. And you don't hear about digital currency on the news. You don't even hear the news even mention it. Why is that? You don't hear the news mention that Chase is privately buying up all the properties in the country. Because as the guy told you, you will own nothing and be happy. So they're up to something. But, again, isn't going to work because God's running the show. But anyway, just to let you know why things are happening, why they're trying to take the guns away from Americans, why you see all of these shootings on TV of these 16-year-olds with $80,000 worth of weapons and bullets that they don't have a job and they can't even put two and two together, but they have all this armament. It's the MK Ultra project, what they refer to as the Manchurian Candidate. So it's all orchestrated, folks. Don't buy into it. Don't believe that, if we take the guns away from America, we'll be safe. No, you won't be safe. Like I've said in a previous video, look at the history of Cuba and exactly what happened there. And that's exactly what they're looking to do here. When Castro overthrew that government, the first thing he did was he forced the citizens to register their weapons. And when they did, He sent all of his henchmen out to take those weapons away from the people that registered them. And now look where they are. Don't believe me? Look at the history of North Korea, China, Australia. They sold all their guns back to the government in the 90s. Now look what the predicament they've gotten themselves into. That's exactly what they want to pull here. And they have the red flag gun law. They say, if we think you're crazy, we'll take away your guns. And of course, they're going to deem everybody insane just to take away your armament. And that leaves you vulnerable. And that's when those tanks come in that they have in abandoned quarry pits, abandoned military industrial complexes, just waiting. They all have rubber treads on them. Whenever you see a tank with a rubber tread, that means that's for urban combat on pavement. That's exactly what that means. This is something that I found out 4 years ago, and it's real. Some of them are hidden in plain sight in neighborhoods. These are military weapons of war, prepared and readied for something. So, you can clearly see they're leading up to something, but it isn't going to work because God won't allow it.